Okay. Hi, Molaba. How are you?
Afternoon, doctor. I am well and excited actually about the interview. It's quite something to actually speak about one of the things that I love the most, and that's women in leadership and how we actually get there. So thank you for the chance to for this opportunity actually for today.
Okay, let's start here. You are on Lipstick Chronicles, season 3,
Mhm.
and working together with an inspiring radio that does things totally different from any other radio station. You will find we inspire the
Mm,
world.
mm,
And on that note, for us here on Lipstick Chronicles, my name is Mvusy. A lot of people call me that. I'm Gogo. I'm a ma, however you want to relate to me. Doc is just a title, so I would really like to talk to you as a woman in leadership. Um, Today we are celebrating you. Today we are celebrating also the other women that shaped your life. So feel free and be authentic as we do things here on this platform. There's no script. We converse like the Africans do, and just feel free to share your story to the world because this radio station has got a global reach. So if you haven't been celebrated globally, this is the time to tell your story the way you would like to be remembered. On that note, please tell us, who is Mulaba?
Oh wow. Okay, so I am Gantshe Molaba, and I always say I am and not my name is because I simply embody my name, which is too light. And I recently have owned up to the other name, which is Lesedi Labadimu. I am a veterinary technologist by profession. So my job in life is to, do animal diagnosis, especially animal disease diagnosis. I love that. I've always wanted to be in this field.
Yes.
I'm a fashion designer, and the funny part is that I only acknowledged this year. So it was a long journey on that one. And I'm also an aspiring innovator, so innovative research. I am also an aspiring entrepreneur, and I say that because I'm still learning. And so I've got both the business for fashion design and also public speaking, as well as the business for innovative research. Recently, 2 years last year, I became a supervisor for the first time. So in my PhD, I'm supervising a master student, and I've also become a mentor. And additionally, I am a founder of a number of organizations and also in their leadership. The ones that are notable would be the Society for Postgraduate Development and Advancement, and the other ones being TUT Green Acadia. I'm also in the executive team of the South African, the Association for Veterinary Technologists. And yeah, that is what I can remember I do. Oh, I've got a dog, so I like to bring her in because she's also one of my inspirations. I'm a daughter, and I'm an aunt, and yeah, I was a sister, but unfortunately I lost my siblings. But yeah, in terms of
Wow.
family, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that is
It's
me in a
interesting.
nutshell.
It's interesting how we actually have these multiple identities, and we really, and that actually talk to
Mm,
who we are. Sometimes we kind of like just talk about one, and I'm already like, okay, which one would I like to? Everything else interests me, and what is very nice is like it's like totally different things, but you are going to decide which one you're gonna talk to
mm,
to us about. But what I just want to know, through this intersection of identities that you have, if you would tell your story, what would you say your story is about?
Um, I've always known that I've been on this perpetual journey of learning and self-actualization. And I always say that you never truly know all of your faces until you meet up in end and something happens. You will never know what type of a leader you are until you are in a position to lead. You don't know
Yes,
if you'll be a wife. I've never been one, so I can truly
yes,
never say that I know how to be a wife. I know how to be a
yes.
sister by virtue of birth. So for me, if I had to tell a story, which I finally had my aha moment last year when I came up on this, the word multi-hyphenate. I love reading a lot, but I guess in academia we read journals more than anything. That's all the time we have for. And I think for the longest time, I was having an issue of, everyone would always say, oh, you've got so much energy, but not in the kindest way. Oh, you are doing everything, and oh, you are this, you are here, you are that, And if I say, oh, I'm a fashion designer slash,
Mm-hmm,
veterinary technologist slash
mm-hmm,
entrepreneur slash 123, it always came with but you can't be all of those things at once. When do you have time? And there
mm-hmm.
is a saying, jack of all trades, master of none. And I've always said there's no such a thing. Yes. I mean,
Yes,
if you are one of those people who truly just wants to touch here and touch there, and then you are done, it is true. However, I believe that you can master all of them, especially
yes.
if you are passionate about them. And that's when I
Yeah.
came across that word multi-hyphenate. And apparently it's more relatable to your celebrities, because nowadays, your celebrities will be, I will be a dancer, and then the next thing they are an author, and then the next thing they are in another
Mm-hmm,
industry, next thing they're a scientist, all of those things. And the funny part is, all of us have always had these faces. It's just that
yes.
because we're always told to harness the one that you believe or society believes should be the one you present, you end up believing that's the only face that you can actually show the world. But
I like that
when
already.
everything else falls, when you literally are in a space of leading, you're so it will literally be like, you know what, I'm a for having, crazy ideas. I'm not going to make excuses for being left and right brained and, thinking in abstract or thinking, using creativity in research or using, science in art. I can apologize for that. And that's who I am. And if I cannot own that, then I will not be living
Yes.
to my name, which is to light, to guide. So it took me a while. And I guess now I'm just getting into the new journey of self-actualization is owning up to that. You are all these things. If
Mm.
someone is gonna say that you cannot be a master of them, then you prove to yourself that these gifts that you have, all these talents that you have, they were not by mistake. I know in the Bible there is a story about being one person being given one talent, the rest someone else being given 10, and it is up to you what you do with it. The person complained, I've got one talent, why should I? And the other person had 10. So the jealousy there was, I'm not going to do this because you deprived me of something. But the one who had more decided to multiply that. So I've decided to literally do that, not to
Wow.
undermine my talents, and not to, like with the fashion design, I literally felt like an imposter. And I will genuinely be
Let's
like,
hold it there. Let's hold it there, Kanji. I'm already inspired, and I've learned a new word today. What do you call it?
multi
Multi-hyphenate.
hyphenate. Yeah.
There's
And you are one as well,
hyphenate.
actually. Yes. Hyphenate, as in like a hyphen.
Oh,
Yeah.
there
So,
is someone that I know who's a multi-hyphenate,
and
who does
yourself, actually.
everything. That's actually very nice. Let's take
How do you know the life or personal coach you're about to work with is who they say they are? How do you know if they can do the job? At the Africa Board for Coaching, Consulting and Coaching Psychology, we can tell you. So, before you share your secrets and spend your money, check with us first. Visit www.abccccp.com or call us on 012-751-7608. The ABCCP, the professional body for coaches.
Okay, a break because I want us to go back to your career, how this multi-hyphenate career that you have chosen when we come back from break.
Okay.
Welcome back, Gantshe. Multi-hyphenate. Hey, I mustn't forget this name because this is something I think a lot of us are struggling to have a language to talk about. We always like say it's an intersection of so many things, of many identities. But what you are coming up is, young people can actually inspire old people like us. I would like to know about your background, how you became a multi-hyphenate. What inspired you or motivated you in your own life?
I think I've always been one. It's just that there wasn't a term. I didn't know about the term for it. So I guess stumbling on the term it was literally at the right moment when I needed it. When I was
Yes,
on this journey of, being all of these things that I've always been, but I just, was for following societal expectations that you have to be one thing and not the other. So I have a mother who simply allowed me to be the weird child that I was, because I grew up reading encyclopedias. The other day I was laughing. I saw a meme where they were saying the reason why, some of you are not married is because you were married when you were a child playing house. You never got a divorce. And I was laughing because I was forever a child in all of these playthings. Nobody ever wanted me to be a mother because I'm so tiny. But
yes,
something else that would always come up was they will always want me to be there, even though I would come there, sitting there with my book. Imagine in the middle of the street, people are playing, they're making noise, and you're just sitting there reading your own encyclopedia and looking at plants. So my mother allowed me to be that. And the most incredible thing is that her story is the typical one of, your people in their 70s who never truly got opportunities because they had to, look after their siblings. And mama never even got to finish, school. But when I started with my master's, mama at 69, I think, went back to school, did early childhood career ECD development, and she passed. I was not even there to help her with the assignments. I was not there because I was in Pretoria. She's in the Free State. And then she went back again. So now she at least has a diploma, and I've been proud of her for that. And it goes on to your question of how did I get, to where I am. My mother simply allowed me to be myself. My mom never even, she never even questioned my weirdness, whereas other people will always be, but why would Lijwalo, the teachers luckily, loved having a student who knew the answers. But
yes,
Liping, it also was, a little bit, it kind of separated you from the rest. But, getting home and even being an introvert, my mom, giving me the opportunity, even when she didn't have the resources to, allowed me to be who I am. I would climb trees as a girl. I would, watch, science cartoons and then play them out to a point where my mother understands my career even better than other people. I know when we say veterinary technology, people are like, what? And I'm like, no, we like the scientist behind the animal doctor, the ones in the lab to give him the results that he gives you. So my mom now explains it so well. And even the things that I do in my research, that she even goes and talks about it to her to people that visit, and she's like, "Oh, this is my daughter. She does 1, 2, 3." And I'm like, "Ma, I don't want to talk about that yet, but yeah, that my background has been a solid foundation. It is a solid foundation. My mom
Yes.
is still part of my journey even now, my spiritual journey, and that's the most another incredible thing. My so yeah, I guess my mother has, if I may say, like this one structure that has been there, that has been visible, and that has stood stoically, and regardless of how crazy my my ideas have been, and she never questioned. And I guess the confidence that I have today is owed to a mother who simply allowed me to be whatever I chose to be and whatever I'm choosing to be right now. So yes, I think if we had to talk
Yes.
about that. So yeah.
Let's take a moment and celebrate Mama. Just right now, because sometimes we never get a chance when we actually up there to kind of like celebrate them to the world, because people never see the pillars of strength behind who we are. If you would be given that chance to celebrate Mama and talk to Mama right now, what would you say?
Oh, I talk to her all the time, but I will put her in my paper again, but we need to figure that out. Actually, we can. In my master's, my mom was not just in the acknowledgements, she was actually in my paper, which I still have to frame. I think that's the next thing that I need to do. Because Mama would go out with me to, the sites, and we'd collect snails together. Imagine that your
Mm,
72-year-old mother in a
mm,
scientific research going with you to these places. There was this one time she would collect these samples. And so if I have to tell her now publicly, I'm like,
yeah.
Ma, you've been the best. You are the best.
Mm,
And I guess that is where also my fear is of, ever losing that structure. But I know that, the person that you are, I am a margin of it, and I'm proud of that because I can see the patience that my mom has. I can see it in me now. Her understanding, it's coming out of me now when I have to be a mentor to, or rather a supervisor. And I'm like, yep, I think the only way that I could be this patient and understanding is because of my mother. So I would like to honor her every day in my success, and I think for her that's her biggest thing. Every milestone that I share
mm,
with her, she's like, "Yep, that's all I ever
wa-
want from you." So
yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. Take us to your career. In your multi-hyphenation, what
Mm-hmm.
started or what inspired with the first one? And in fact, what really inspired you to just really own the who you are. And I think as part of that story, we would just like to know, you were talking about weirdness, you were talking about how people saw you, and how did you survive that as as a young woman?
Yeah. So I've always wanted to be I wanted to be a veterinarian because my idea of it was coming up with solutions to animal diseases. And it goes back to as far as I was 13. That is the one memory I have vividly when me and my mom were going to town and somebody was asking me, this old man was asking me, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I want to be an animal doctor. And when I, described it, that's what I wanted to do. And then I attempted zoology at the UFS. That didn't work out
Mhm,
because I had then decided along the way that I'm going to do science. I'm a curious
mm,
person and I grew up reading encyclopedias. Science and research makes more sense for me.
yes.
But, sometimes your journey, the direction of your journey can be set. I know there are people that would be said, you know what, we own up, we choose our paths and whatnot. But for me, in my case, I don't believe that. It has always been that way. Growing up, we always had animals around, we were playing with them. The first time I did attempt to cure an animal, and I hope I will not be attacked for animal cruelty, was when we were kids with my cousin, and we had a puppy that had fleas. So I thought, hey, let's dunk this baby in a bucket of water paint, because in my mind, my young mind, that meant we were gonna get rid of the fleas. It worked. The puppy was pink, unfortunately, but after a few weeks, it was better. There were no fleas and stuff. And luckily for us, dear Lord, I'm in this profession. So now I follow ethics, and taking care of animals is paramount. And it's literally the foundation of veterinary technology.
Yes.
And now I know how to do it ethically,
Yes.
no dunking animals in there. And the funniest part is that that simple thing that I did as a child is what I'm doing now in my PhD. It's not the fleas anymore, but the ticks that I'm now, trying to get rid of. And instead of using, your the paint, which was pretty bad, I'm now using plants. And it's very funny. Hence, I'm saying that, sometimes the direction of your destiny or the direction of your path, when you truly look at it in hindsight, it actually has always been set. For
Yes.
me,
Yes.
has been. I attempted to go the other route, and I came back right about to where. So when I finally sat down and said, you know what, think about it. What do you really want to do? And I said, but why do you? And then I came across veterinary technology. And I was like, what? And it's only done at TUT, the Tshwane University of Technology. So in all of South Africa, that's where you can only get veterinary technology. So we are part of the veterinary sector, where all to do with animal pandemics and all animal diseases and livestock, the meat that you eat, the safety of it. Yeah, so I guess there's nothing else, but it goes back to the part of the multi-hyphenate. In as much as the part of loving animals was there, loving the environment was there was also the part of me, growing up. I used to cut my t-shirts. My mom will be so mad because for some reason I thought they didn't look okay, so I cut them up, and believe it or not, the person who started sewing was my cousin, who's a male. And he will only do it so that he can dress up his dolls and beat them up in wrestling. So I then decided, you know what? There's no way that a guy could do this better than me. I'm sorry to make that, sexist, but I was like, there's no way. So I started taking it seriously and, just making my own clothes. And my late sister would be the one forcing me to design. So and then with I just love my career path, the professional one, because the choice was really simple: loving the environment, loving animals, and everything goes back to that. And I literally enjoyed every moment of it. I loved learning, because for me it wasn't even a chore. It was literally just following your passion and being part of a profession that makes a difference, in as much as people don't know much about us. And there's so few of us, and for me to choose research, it was also something, it was going back to, that the first part where I said I wanted to discover. I did not just want to sit in a laboratory, be told what to do, how to do it. I wanted to be at the forefront of, disease management and control. And that I could only do if I pursued research, but allowing my own mind to explore as well, because I'm such a curious person. And if I'm going to have those many, many ideas that never, seem to stop in my head, I might as well, go about it via the research route. So with my master's, what I then did, part of being maybe a multi-hyphenate was to incorporate the environment in my study. And I know this is not done a lot, but I wanted to see whether, now that we're having global warming, now that we have climate change, us who are at the forefront of disease management, we need to start looking at where does the environment come into this? And if we are saying
Yes.
these things are, they begin in the environment, where are they in the environment? And how does this knowledge assist, with those of us who are environmental advocates? And I guess that also was part inspired by, and part of leading by example. When I started
Yes.
TUT Green Acadia in 2016, I used to advocate for use your academic background to address environmental issues, because what's the use of you trying to be one thing and separated from another when you can be a louder voice by virtue of an academic background and knowledge that other people don't even have. And it's easier for you to advocate when you've got the scientific or an institutional type of background or understanding. And if you can then simplify it for other people, then it makes it easier. It makes, imparting this knowledge, it makes advocacy and activism much, much easier. So I then figured,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
actually like the simplification of the work that the experts do, because more often as that people who get into the scientific field find it very difficult to simplify things so that they educate others, and they communicate clearly about their own findings and how they can help other people. But what I want to find out right now, because I know we could talk about uh, all these the different identities. They are very exciting. They're very I relate to them as a cattle header. I grew up as a cattle header. I relate to them because currently what is happening, I'm working with a community that's actually talk to what you're talking about, because of what is the ticks that are there with the cattle and all that. And people use actually traditional medicine, used to use traditional medicine to treat this treat. And now over time, those plants are actually not there. And then it becomes a very difficult situation for those villages. But what I want to talk to you about is, with all what you have done, did you ever had time where you were really doubting yourself?
all the time.
I wanted also to talk about how did you overcome, or how did you deal with the issue that people always saw you as you are weird all the time?
I think I think the doubts started just recently. I remember the biggest one that I started noticing was I started public speaking when I was in grade 4. So you can imagine I've been groomed to speak and speak and debate all my life, and I used to present because I loved it. I used to talk about what I do without hesitation, with the confidence, but also with I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to talk about what I'm doing. And then I started pitching for entrepreneurship and all of that. And for the first time, I had stage fright. And then it was like, how are you going to navigate this? The one thing that I was learning was speaking through the fear. But when I look at your conference, your research-based presentation compared to the pitching presentation, with your conference, there was never I'm competing against anyone. I'm
Yes,
speaking about something that I love to, my
yes,
discoveries and having fun. And even
yes,
if I was nervous, I would hide it well and I would, make jokes and all of that. But when it came
yes,
to pitching, which was for business, it was more of you're being judged. Someone is
mm,
sitting there and evaluating, are you good enough to get this money?
yes,
Are you
yes,
better than the next person? And then I started also then measuring myself based on their perception or the judgment that's going to happen, that's happening as I pitch. And that's when my voice then toned down. And I think last year, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm not going to pitch much this year. I am simply going to sit back and, follow my PhD, ensure that a lot of things are done in it so that I do not, disturb it with a whole bunch of things and stressing myself. And that's when I realized, Zuri, that was the mistake that I made. I allowed fear of something I don't have control of. I don't have control of a judge. I don't have a control of someone who has the money. But I do have the control of believing in my product, believing in the research that I'm putting in, believing in what I do. And I decided it should be at your own pace. You should allow yourself to follow your instinct. If instinct says start it this way, then do it that way. If it takes you 2 weeks, then that's fine. Take 2 weeks. If you have to pitch again, then do it not because you want to win. Of course I do, because I'm an African child. I need money, unfortunately, for our businesses, especially in research. But do it because you want to tell the story of what you do and not really people to pay. If they pay you, that's good. That's great. More certificates on my wall, which I don't have space now anymore. But, that's another good thing. But and that's where I came back to loving what I do again. So yes, I do have doubts. And like I said, I had this feeling of imposter, the imposter syndrome when it came to being a fashion designer, because I was asking myself, there are people who went to school for this. I didn't. I just look at something once and I can do it, and it just comes easily. I sometimes tell people, sometimes the material, most of the time, the material tells me what it wants to be, and somebody's like, what? And I'm like, that's why I'm terrible at, I can make, designs, draw them beautifully, but following them, no. Because I get to the material and it's like, nope, I don't want to be pants anymore. I want to be like this crazy, beautiful gown. And I have to follow that, because for me, that you listen, if you allow that, then the creativity comes out. And so I've been in that. But I think the biggest thing is to literally still walk head held high, even if you've got the tears flowing down your face. You still walk like your world is not crumbling. You move forward and you still try. And on those days that it's what I call off days now, on those days where you cannot do anything, sit back, put those ideas at the back of your mind. They should always have a voice. They should always be having their volume. Never mute them. Allow them to remind you why you are still here and why you started what you started. And then you continue walking.
I like there's a nugget right there for me. And we're gonna take a break right now. But what I'm really picking up is you just always have to work from within, work from your passion. And sometimes the lessons that we are getting out there, we have to talk through them and we take them as lessons. There's nothing right or wrong. We will continue to be a multi-hyphenate, but it's a kind of like taking also a step back and reflecting and going forward, and I think that bouncing back is something that we celebrate you as well. Let's go for a little break again, and then we'll talk through the broader issues right now.
The home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
Views.
There's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
Sports.
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
And music to inspire you every day. This is Vuga Online, your inspiration radio station.
Welcome back. Now, having zoomed and spoke about yourself and the passion that you have. I want us a little bit to like just go broader, look at what is happening around you in terms of the women in leadership in your field, whichever one that you choose. What are you finding out?
Um, I think that the one thing that I learned about finding your heroes is, it's so funny because we always assume that the people we look up to and the word hero, we sort of make them, put them on a pedestal and then put, gold on them and expect them to be gold, to be shimmering and shining, to never crack, to always be extraordinary. And when I looked at myself, I always said, be the person you would like to look up to, you know. And when I look at the people who inspire me, truth be told, these are people that are around me. And it's always a feeling of, oh, I like this part, this is a part of you
Yes,
that inspires me. And that's what, if we had to really dissect hero in the true sense of being human, is literally finding the faces of those people that we relate to, the faces that we can emulate without stepping too much out of ourselves. Because I
yes.
always said to someone that if you've got too many people, or if someone else is your complete motivation, if that person is not there, you're not going to get up and go to the gym in the morning. But if
Mm,
part of that person is what, gravitates you towards them, then it doesn't matter whether they are there or not. And even in their memory, you'll always, remember something of that about them. So for me, I'm just grateful that I'm surrounded by people who are human and people who have done extraordinary things in their own human capacity, and people that I can say, you know what, if I wake up in the morning, I'll be able to do that. And if there's something else that they did that's extraordinary that I can't do, I'll be like, you know what? I'm so happy to be, in the space to see you doing something extraordinary, and to cheer loudly on those things that I can't get to do that you seem to be able to do. And that for me is what a hero is, someone who is empathetic, but who is still a leader, leading with integrity, leading with, sympathy, understanding more than just the people that you want to lead, but understanding yourself as well. And leading because you want the people that, you are leading, or whether you want to be the person that you will look up to. And if you can't find that in yourself, then there's something wrong. And I guess that's where it goes to, if somebody does anything else that seems questionable later, it's easier for you to be understanding. You're human, it
yeah,
does happen.
yeah,
Unless it's murder, though,
yeah,
unless it's
yeah.
murder and it's
Uh,
premeditated and everything else that's illegal. But if
uh,
it's anything else, because we tend to literally dissect people, especially in social media. Oh, I do not believe you did this. Oh my goodness, you're doing
mm,
it. But that person is
you
still
know,
human.
yes, you know what I liked about what you were saying, which is actually where the Lipstick Chronicles platform started was, and how it is named. It's exactly what you said, where
I
you
like
say you actually you look up to people, you think they have Lipstick Chronicles, you think they have arrived, you think they are there, but no one knows that they are cracking. I really like that. And that is, we actually look up to people, see mentors, and celebrate people. We must also just know that there's just one aspect of it that we are looking for, but we shouldn't lose who we are. Can you talk
it.
more about that? What have you found about the crackings, for instance, that women are dealing with? And yeah, I think it would be nice to hear from your side, even in your field, for instance. We will go with the technology, veterinary technology, which is what we like. What have you seen as the struggles of women, and in particular, maybe even younger women? What are they grappling with?
Yeah. I think I should, I think I'm going to take the step of honesty as well, because I mean, if we are going for the Lipstick Chronicles and truly looking at when do we crack, and the pressures that I've seen of myself, of the people around me as well, societal expectations, the first one. But I think people that are strong, women that are incredibly strong, all of us are truly strong. The stuff that we go through, period pains included. But, you know, by virtue of that, we are able to navigate most of societal expectations. However, now there is this sense of, I know for me in academia and research, there are, you know, issues of there's, you know, there are those issues where you are literally sitting there and you are hoping to get recognition, but the
Yes.
recognition doesn't come because, you know, sometimes the powers that be do not want you to be in that space. You know, sometimes you seem to shake ground without knowing you are, and that does not sit
Mm,
well with people. And you know, it's sad for people in leadership,
mm,
because the majority of the time you are really going to dismantle people's ideas, their paradigms. You are going to call out things that do not want to be called out. I've been on a journey. My academic journey has never been easy, especially research. I've had to learn how to have a thicker skin for me to literally get from one year to another to the next. But the one thing that I've had, and the one thing that I still have, is that in as much as I'm breaking in certain moments, and the
yes.
people around me are also breaking in their own spaces, we seem
Yes.
to have this incredible community of women that still come through, even in those moments of literally stumbling in their heels. And even right now, I've got my triad of ladies. You know, they're going through their own stories. Some moments, some of their stories can even, you know, sometimes today's story, today's episode is like, what, girl, what, you know, but in the she's still there, you know. I have this thing that I called an 8-minute card with my girlies, and what you do is, if you are having an issue today at any moment, simply say to me, can I have my 8-minute card, you know, or you are claiming your
Yes.
8-minute card, and we pick up the phone and I listen and whatever.
Yeah.
So now we do voice notes mostly, and you drop everything, because there is no way for us to lead without believing that for us to get there, for us to be in that space of strength, we did not break. Um, Most of the time, the best architectures have to be broken down. Because if the perfection has started, you don't know what the weaknesses are. You don't know how to navigate those weaknesses. So, how are you going to be at your strongest if you don't know when you're going to fall? And if you cannot stand,
Yeah.
if I didn't know that I can stand and still make a joke while I'm still nervous whilst presenting, I wouldn't want to present, because I'll be like, I am very nervous right now. I'm not going to
Yes.
present at my best. So we
Yeah.
truthfully, unfortunately, we do have to break down. Unfortunately,
Yes.
to be at your strongest, you have to be hampered. You have to literally go through the worst pressure for you to come out perfect, or in your version
Yes.
of what perfect is. And that shouldn't be societal's perfect. And I've seen that, you know, and I know in veterinary, like we have issues in veterinary. There's always the hierarchy that people don't want to talk about, and there is, you know, the Aquilon, the the
Mm-hmm.
vets always looking down on us. And I'm being truthful about
Mm-hmm.
this, and we are
Yep.
talking about it,
Yes.
so I'm
Yep.
putting it out there. So we
Yep.
have issues where they look down on us because apparently, you know, because they're doctors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it does not matter. Everybody, by
Mm.
legislature, by South African legislature, everybody has their own job to do. They cannot do what we do. We cannot do what they do. And we really don't want to do what they do. It makes them the way they are. And we've always had that in spaces. I know my colleagues, or rather, I'm mostly in research and I've mostly been in research. They've had such issues, and we've heard those issues.
Yes.
It's issues we are
Yes.
fighting right now, especially within the association, trying to find unity again, trying to find a space for us to speak up more, for us to give people the platform to say, but I don't like this. We've had people coming into our profession, people who have done a certain degree and then being allowed to do what we do. But by law, people now cannot do what we do because it made
Yeah.
us lose out on jobs, and there are so few of us. And particularly when it comes to animal health, we have been groomed, or rather educated, to do exactly that. So now we have fixed that. Our leadership has fixed that, but we still have, segregations and all of those other things, private sector, public sector, all of those other things, money, getting paid. Right now, I am currently, although we do have students who are doing PhD who are veterinary technologists and doing PhDs, I'm technically the only one who's doing it in veterinary technology. So right now I'm the odd one in the country just doing veterinary technology at PhD level. And it's still there's very few of us still, and also because there's also this mindset that we are more diagnostic than that. And I guess, and somebody raised something recently, and I also want to actually raise it up, and I'm going to tell her that I talked about this. She said, we need to start redefining para veterinary, because the word para itself denotes, something that's beneath, something that's lesser off. Whereas when you truly understand our professions by legislature, by definition, we are each our own profession. Each of us are registered,
Yes.
not
Yes.
under the other, associate other professions,
Mm.
but as a profession stand alone. There are four of us, yet only one is literally defined as that, and we are the para part of it. When we don't necessarily have to stand, in that space. So it's also some of those things that we also need
Yeah.
to evaluate, especially in our professions, because we are being
Mm.
discriminated by that. We are being thought of lesser because,
Mm.
technology. For instance,
Mm.
TUT has always been discriminated. We have to also put
Mm.
that out there because we used to strike a lot, but also
Mm.
because we were coming from a technicon,
Mm. Mm.
and now people are trying to, but you are a technicon. And believe me, I went to a conference, I think 2 years back, and I said, I am from Tshwane University of Technology. And the doctor, supervisor, learned person was like, oh, like a technicon. I'm like, what?
Let's I want us to actually hold it there because we are about to wrap up before we go on on adverts break.
The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is a professional development center for professionals who aim to improve their professional standing. This means that the learning programs we run are more than just academic programs. They are work-based programs that focus on leveraging your current experience as a professional to build your overall profile. A year down the line, the Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is developing into a preferred center for professional development in Pretoria, with 8 professional development faculties including accounting, teaching, entrepreneurship, as well as IT and many more. For more information, go to acwbl.org or dial +27 12 751 7608. The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning, where work is learning.
There's a lot of things that you have actually highlighted, which for me, I kind of like see as this insight. One of them is like life happens. unfortunately, life has to happen. For us, it's like to grow. We have to go through the pain. We have to navigate. And sometimes what happens is like a lot of people think that it is easier on the other side. When I see you now speaking so eloquently, having this multi-hyphenation kind of existence, we kind of like, how did she get there and whatever, and we do not recognize the fact that the this is the terminology about the diamond, and the flaws of the
Yes.
diamond. What makes the diamond to be fleshy, that we love it, is because of its flaws, and that is what we have to actually go through. And this judgment is always there. The power dynamics are always there, even amongst us as women. A lot of people, and this is what I'm hearing from you, which is what I like. A lot of people think that women are a heterogeneous, a homogeneous group. It's like because you're a woman, you think the same, you all have the same values and whatever. There's struggles even amongst us, and that's life. There's power dynamics
Yeah.
even there. So we continue
Mm-hmm.
to judge each other, and I like this human aspect that you have just emphasized into it, because sometimes we kind of like think that we are this group, that therefore we are not human. Women are
Yeah.
human first. Can we actually go for a break, and we're gonna have a wrap up?
Okay.
Welcome back. I wish I could have a very long time, but unfortunately, the producers would kill me because you're highlighting a lot of very insightful and inspiring. This conversation for me is inspiring, even to a lot of other women that would love to be where you are. And at this moment, I would like you to tell us about, just briefly, one, about this mentorship, because this is how you are amplifying yourself, and making an impact in leadership. Just briefly.
Thank Okay. Thank you so much. Um, so I've been lucky to truly find people that have, in my mentorship journey, or those that have mentored me, not to think these very outrageous ideas were feasible. And I think I would be remiss if I did not mention my mother, but I did talk about her. And then my supervisor, I think sometimes she thinks I can move mountains, and even when I don't want to, but she literally was the one who had said, why don't you use this idea of yours where you won an award for innovation for? So that's just one of many, but I had entered into a program, and that was when I was tapping into this journey of innovative research, or innovation itself. And it's an incredible platform called the Technology Entrepreneurship Program at
Okay.
TUT. I hope TUT students will apply. And so it allowed us to actually explore innovation in terms of entrepreneurship. I was one of
Yes.
the incubates in, yeah, I forgot the year. I keep on forgetting how
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I then pitched an idea, which actually became part of my PhD,
Okay.
and I pitched it. Learned on the day, 15 minutes before my pitch, that I had to talk about the innovation and not the business itself. So I
Sure.
had to literally change my presentation whilst the
Sure.
two people were presenting. And suffice
Sure.
to say, I was the winner.
Yeah.
So I told my
What
supervisor
was the
about it.
innovation about? What was the
So I was
innovation
working
about?
on I was working on, or rather, the idea was the using nanoparticles and plants, from plants incorporated with plants, onto some clothes for animals. And yeah, so this was part of that. So I wouldn't go deeper into it, but yeah,
No, that's
it
fine.
also
That's fine.
yeah,
That's fine. We just
it also
wanted to know.
yeah, it was also part of the intervarsity, entrepreneurship in higher education, the EDHE intervarsity competition part as well.
That's fine.
So my supervisor simply just supported that, and she said, why don't you do this in your PhD instead? And we had
That's
already
fine.
had a proposal by then, so I had to rewrite a new proposal from scratch. And
That's okay.
I then decided, you know what, if I'm gonna do this, yeah. Yeah. So Dr. Mjali has been an incredible part when it comes to my growth there. I guess in research, then my dean, I think she was my first crush, my first academic crush or research crush, because she's this, going back to, somebody you see from a distance and you're like, that is golden, shimmering, shining. She's poised. She's
Yeah.
beautiful. She's literally a leader in every sense of the word. But then I've gotten, the opportunity to also meet her at the human level. And I think that one has made me more appreciative of her capabilities, because now I can actually say, you know what? I love the leadership style you have. She's similar to Dr. Mchali, wanting to, support the people, especially women in leadership, and not just with the leadership positions she holds as a dean, but also, in her capacity as well. And for her to also be human as well, being gorgeous was added, wearing that lipstick and knowing that she's got her own stories, but these are people that are closer to us. And you're like, you know what, if she can, continue to do this at the age of 50, looking all beautiful and stuff, and, leading with integrity.
I'm
And
afraid we do not have a lot of time at this point in time. And again celebrate the supervisor, Dr. Charlie, and the dean for actually, shaping the work that you do as well and recognizing you. And the world today knows that you are representative of the marginalized, in all aspects, the institution, and even the work that you have done. So we really thank you so much for that. What I would like to know, if you would inspire young people to do the work that you do, what would you say?
well, it's actually, it takes you to be a human. And this type of work truly requires you to have a calling for it, because people tend to not understand that unfortunately, we don't work with the animals directly. And some people may think
Yes,
too. So it needs to be, I wanted this.
yes. As the
And
passion.
yes, your why. If your why is
Yes.
solid, if your why is to serve humanity, if your why is to serve animals, if your why is to make the wrongs right by assisting with disease diagnosis. Right now we are having a lot of outbreaks. If that is your why, then come on board. I would literally love to have some of you as veterinary technologists, and yes, literally rooting for you to be our best. And we've seen some of the students being the best in the field. So yeah, we
Thank
would
you
love
very,
to
very much.
have students with that type of.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you
so much
very
for the
much.
opportunity.
And here we are, technology is also just trying to cut us. But before it cuts, please tell us, what song can we play for you?
Oh wow, okay. Wow. Okay, surprise me. I'm just trying to think of a song that's been I have a lot of songs, but now when you're asking me, I'm like,
That
what?
one.
Which song? Yes, that one. I would love anything gospel, but anything
Oh,
empowering. Oh wait, I Am a Conqueror by is it not Adele?
it's fine.
Yes. I am a conqueror.
The producers will find it. I am a conqueror is the song.
No, it's
You
conqueror,
are.
actually. Yeah. All of the ladies that are listening, all of us, you are in your own space, in your own time, in your own life. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Thank you very much for that inspiration, Gantshe, and thank you very much for showing up on Lipstick Chronicles and Mvuka Online Radio. We are here to inspire women. We are here to celebrate African women, and for you to have actually shown up with all the work that you are doing, it's really a blessing for us. Thank you very much. And go to multi-hyphenate.
Thank you, and have a nice day as well.
Oh, thank you very much, my dear. Thank you very much. Have a good day.